So, welcome to Banik YouTube classes for Civil Service Examinations. The last class we have come so far, that is up to oath or affirmation of the members of state legislature, and I have told you that they are administered oath by the governor or any person appointed by him. For this purpose, governor appoints one of the members as Speaker Pro Tem, and Speaker Pro Tem administers oath to the newly elected members. Then vacating seats, vacation in the seats of members. There are various grounds on which the seat of a member shall fall vacant. Okay, we have basically discussed these points on at the time we discussed Parliament. So the same procedure. In case a member secures double membership, his seat will fall vacant. That is called double membership of the House. So no member can occupy a seat in both either house, two seats. In case a member wins two seats in Vidhan Sabha, he or she has to vacate his membership, or he or she has to vacate one seat within 10 days from the date of declaration of result. Otherwise, both of his seats will fall vacant. And in case he is elected to both Vidhan Sabha and Vidhan Parishad, he will have to mention the seat he is going to vacate within 10 days, otherwise its seat in Vidhan Parishad will fall vacant. And if he is elected to both Lok Sabha and Vidhan Sabha simultaneously, he has to mention it within 14 days which seat he is going to vacate, otherwise his Lok Sabha seat will fall vacant. So Indian Constitution does not allow double membership. Then disqualifications. We have already discussed that disqualifications on the ground of disqualification on various grounds, like your disqualification under Article 191 and disqualification under Anti-Defection Act. Okay, so these are two dimensions. Also there to this Representation of People's Act. Representation of People's Act 1951 has added other disqualifications like failure to submit electoral expenses. Again, you can say that conviction for more than 2 years, disproportionate wealth. There are certain other qualifications also added. Then, in case of resignation of the members to the presiding officer of the House may lead to the vacancy in the seats. If a member remains absent for 60 days from the proceedings of the legislature, then he will be declared vacant. And if he is elected as president or vice president, or if he is appointed as the governor of the state, or he is expelled by the House for his election declared void. Another factor you can add also death. So death, expelled by the House for indiscipline, by the chairman or by the speaker of the presiding officer, expelled by the presiding officer of the. For indiscipline or very unparliamentary manners, or or if his election declared void by the Election Commission of India. So these are the number 1, 2, 3, 4, and appointment of as governor 5, appointment elected as vice president and president 6, death 7, 8, and 9. There are 9 grounds on which a seat of a member can fall vacant. And in case vacancy in the membership, election is held if the remaining period is more than 6 months, usually 1 year. That is called by-elections. And the elected member, newly elected member, will remain for the rest of the term. So it is the vacancy we have dealt with. So equal provisions are there for the members of parliament. And there is vacating of vacancy in the seat. Then presiding officers of the state legislature. Like the parliament, the state legislature too have their own presiding officers. Speaker pro tem is the one of the presiding officers. He is appointed by the governor at the beginning of each assembly after assembly election, and he will be appointed by the governor. His duty is to administer oath and affirmation to the newly elected members and assist the house in electing the speaker and deputy speaker. After the election of the speaker and deputy speaker, the office of the speaker pro tem ceases. That means he comes back to his own seat and he becomes a member again. He is one of the oldest member of the house. Speaker of the Vidhan Sabha is elected by the members of the assembly from amongst themselves. He has to be a member at the time of election. There is no provision for electing outside persons as speakers. He will be removed by a resolution passed by assembly, the legislative assembly. In fact, it is by a effective majority. That means majority of members, majority of the total strength, irrespective of vacancy, total strength of the SLA, State Legislative Assembly. Suppose State Legislative Assembly out of Odisha 147 and 147 is the present strength. If the 7 to 8 members are absent, that will not be counted. It will be divided by T plus 1. He presides over the house, maintains discipline and decorum. He votes in the equal number of votes, that is called casting votes. That is called casting vote also. He certifies a bill as money bill. He decides disqualification of members under Anti-Defection Act 85. He appoints chairperson of legislative committees. As there is no joint sitting in the state legislature, so that of the duty or the function of the speaker is not there. So equal powers as the speaker of Lok Sabha performs, so does the speaker of Vidhan Sabha perform the duties. He has the same duties, except that he does the speaker of Vidhan Sabha does not have the scope to preside over the joint sitting, as there is no such provision in the state legislature. Okay, so these are the speaker and past speaker of Lok Sabha. The past speaker of Odisha Vidhan Sabha is Manmaknath Das. Manmaknath Das, and after general election it was Nandakishore Das. 1952, Nandakishore Das who became the first speaker of Odisha Legislative Assembly after general election. but it was Mohammad Das who became the speaker in 1947. Okay, so these are the things. No deputy speaker, no woman speaker of Odisha Legislative Assembly has been elected so far. And Sano Devi, Mrs. Sano Devi, is the first woman speaker of Uttar Pradesh Vidhan Sabha, or is the one of the is the first woman speaker of Legislative Assembly of a state. Okay, these are the powers, and speakers also maintains discipline and decorum in the house. He can expel a member. These are also the powers, irrespective of those powers mentioned there. There are also other powers. He maintains discipline and decorum in the house. He can expel a member from membership in case of indiscipline. So these are also the powers you can add. The deputy speaker is the same. He is elected by the members of the assembly from amongst themselves. He is removed by the house in effective majority, not absolute, effective majority. Deputy speaker becomes the chairperson of the committee in which he is a member. Hmm. And he is also an independent office. Remember, the election of the deputy speaker is decided by the speaker of the house. That is also a point to be remembered. And he has no specific power. He presides of the house when the speaker is absent. At this time, he has all the powers and privileges enjoyed by the speaker. The same provision is adopted, like the deputy speaker of Lok Sabha. Then chairperson of the council. So unlike Rajya Sabha, the chairperson of the council, Vidhan Parishad, is elected only by the members of the council from amongst themselves. He is not elected, he is not an ex officio members, rather he is elected by the house only from amongst the members. And he is removed in the same manner like a speaker of the assembly is removed. He has all the powers and privileges of the speaker except that he doesn't have the authority to decide a bill as money bill. So this power is not there. This doesn't have the authority to decide a bill as money bill. The speaker has a chairperson has a term of you can say the speaker may have a term of 6 years, and deputy chairperson of the house may have also the term of 6 years, because the members of the house have a term of 6 years. Deputy chairperson of the council elected by the members of the council from. So he has same power like the deputy speaker of the Vidhan Sabha. Another thing, term, if you speak about term of the house, term of the members in Vidhan Sabha, that is 5 years. And Vidhan Parishad doesn't have any term. It is Vidhan Sabha. Vidhan Sabha term has 5 years maximum at a time. The past Vidhan Sabha, Odisha 1952 to 57. And Vidhan Parishad has a term, no term. It is a permanent house. But the members have a term of 6 years, because one-third members retire at the end of 2 years. Okay, that is also a point to be remembered. Sessions in state legislature. Sessions in state legislature is the same as the sessions of parliament. It has 3 sessions: budget session, monsoon session, and winter session. And there shall not be a gap of 2 months between the 2 sessions of state legislature. That is also a point to be remembered. So we have you can say we have 3 sessions. We have 3 sessions like budget sessions. Okay, so that is the things. Now we shall deal with the Okay, so the sessions are summoned by the governor. It is not a discretionary power of the governor, rather he consults the chief minister of the state before summoning the sessions. So the governor summons the sessions of parliament, a state legislature, and that is not on the that is not on the on his own discretion, rather on the advice of the chief minister, that is under article 174 of the constitution. Okay, then governor from time to time prorogue the sessions. It is the end of the session. And I told you that it doesn't affect any bill, any pending bill is not affected, rather only the notices, motions, resolutions that are there is affected. So the governor prorogues the house. Resolution, a term is applicable only to Vidhan Sabha. Vidhan Parishad is not subject to dissolution, and Vidhan Sabha can be dissolved either on the on completion of the term, or before, or when the no confidence motion is approved in the assembly, the government resigns and the governor may dissolve the house. So that may be a premature dissolution, that may have a premature dissolution. So council is not subject to dissolution, as I told you. It is a permanent chamber. However, its members retire at the end of every 2 years. One-third members retire at the end of every 2 years. Okay, that is the dissolution. So summon, prorogue, and dissolution, and then we will address, that is the quorum. Quorum is 1/10 of the total strength, or 10, whichever is higher. So in smaller state like Goa, Sikkim, and other states, Arunachal Pradesh, various states have 10 number of seats required to carry out the functioning of the proceedings of the house. So it is minimum members present. Okay, then legislative procedure of the SL, state legislature. Bills introduced in state legislature are of basically ordinary bill, money bill, and finance bill also. We can say that there are two types of bills major, ordinary and money bills. Another kind is finance bill also. Finance bill also there. Bills introduced in our ordinary bill, money bill, and finance bill. Certain constitutional amendment bills are also sent to the state legislature by the parliament for ratifications. There is also a kind of amending power, but direct constitutional amendment bill cannot be introduced in the state legislature. No constitutional, no cap, constitutional amendment bill is to be introduced. Only, only certain bills which are required to be approved by the state come to the state legislature. Ordinary bill. Ordinary bill can be introduced in either house of the parliament or state legislature. Like in case of the parliament, ordinary bills can be introduced in either house. And in the similar manner, it passes to the three stages, such as first reading, second reading, and third reading. We have discussed what happens in each readings. In first reading, in second reading, and in third reading. So a bill passes through the three stages. They are known as readings. Okay, but there is a variation in the powers of both the houses in terms of ordinary bill even. In case of ordinary bill in the parliament, both Rajya Sabha and Lok Sabha have equal powers. If a bill passed by Lok Sabha, rejected by Rajya Sabha, then the bill will come to an end, and vice versa. There is no option except joint sitting. But in case of Vidhan Sabha, that is, there is a different kind of things. Suppose a bill passed by assembly can be sent to the council, and council has to go through the bill and has to pass the bill through following the three stages. And if after the discussion on the bill, if the council doesn't pass it and retain it, can retain it for a maximum period of 3 months at the first instance. Then if again the bill is passed by the assembly and sent to the council, then it has to pass it or retain it for a maximum period of 1 month at the second instance. So a bill, ordinary bill, can be retained by the council for a maximum period of 4 months. After the lapse of the period, the bill is deemed to be passed. Then another thing, if a bill is introduced and passed by the council, comes to an end if it is rejected by the assembly. But if a bill is rejected by the council, passed by the assembly, then there is alternative that the assembly can pass it again, and there is no such mechanism for that. So if a bill is passed by the assembly, rejected by the council, and if the assembly again passes it, it becomes an act. Hence, the council has little and negligible power in case of the passage of ordinary bill. So it can say at best it is a dilatory chamber, just delaying the things, and it has not been provided with more powers, more functions in the legislative scheme of the state. So having a second chamber is worthless, you can say, because if it is to be a constructive chamber, if it is to be a viable institution in parliamentary democracy, it has to be provided with a lot of power, lot of privileges, a lot of powers, and some equal powers with the assembly, so that it will have its own value. But in the present legislative scheme that prevails in India, we can safely conclude that second chamber is not a necessary evil, and it is not an essential house. It can just do a delay in the passage of the bill, and it can provide wider representation to different sections of the society. So there is a veritable composition. That is the two outstanding characteristics of the second chamber, or the relevance of the second chamber in the legislative scheme of the state. Okay, so they don't have any adequate power in case of passage of ordinary bill. In case of money bill, the same power is exercised by the council as it is exercised by the Rajya Sabha. Money bill can be introduced in the assembly first. It requires prior recommendation of the prior approval of the governor. It is to be certified by the Speaker of the Assembly. Council cannot amend or reject it. It can recommend. The council can retain a money bill for a maximum period of 14 days, after which it automatically becomes act. Over a money bill, the council has limited power. Okay. So these are the things. Okay, if you say the schemes of the legislative that is to be allowed in case of functions. If you talk about the functions of the assembly, or functions of the state legislature, you can say that the functions of the legislatures are there. So there are legislative functions also, legislative functions, and there are electoral functions because it elects lawmaking function, primary function of state legislature like the union parliament is lawmaking. It is empowered to make laws on the state list and concurrent list. The parliament and the legislative assemblies have the right to make the laws on the subjects mentioned in the concurrent list, but in case of contradiction between the two, the parliamentary law prevails. There are basically two types of bills, as I told you. It is a law-making functions or legislative functions. There are also financial powers of the state legislature. State legislature keeps control over the finance of the state. A money bill is introduced in the Vidhan Sabha. The money bill includes authorization of the expenditure to be incurred by the government, imposition and abolition of taxes. So that is there. It is called financial power. And it also approves the budget. So, like the parliament, state legislature have tremendous control of financial control over the executive. Electoral functions, it elects the speaker and deputy speaker. The chairman and deputy chairmen are also elected by the Vidhan Parishad. Also, one-third members are also elected by the members of the Vidhan Sabha, one-third members of the State Legislative Council. Vidhan Sabha also participates in the election of the President and Rajya Sabha. That is also a kind of electoral functions. Constitutional functions, the procedure of amendment of the Constitution, an amendment of the its ratification by not less than one-third, one half of the state of the federal subject is required sometimes. The resolution for the ratification is passed by the state legislature with simple majority. However, a constitutional amendment bill cannot be introduced in state legislature. Okay, Baki, you have to learn the various strength of Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha, as Vidhan Sabha and Vidhan Sabha in the state. It may be from the preliminary point of view. You can have an idea about the strength of different state legislative assemblies in India. They will help you to have an understanding over the strength and also how why do they vary from state to state because of the population of the state. So get an idea over the strength of the state legislative assemblies for your reference. Okay, so now we shall go to the questions related to state legislature. And before going to the questions, let me give you an idea about the Jammu Kashmir Reorganization Act that was passed by Parliament and assented by the President on 9 August 2019, and it came into effect on 31st October 31st October 2019, 31st October 2019. So that act de-recognized the state of Jammu Kashmir into the two union territories. One is Jammu and Kashmir and another is Ladakh. Okay, so please have an idea about the things and also look at the strength of Vidhan Sabha. The highest number of seats in Vidhan Sabha is found mentioned in is prevalent in Uttar Pradesh, and the strength of the assembly can be increased increased by the parliament, not by the state legislature. Not by the state legislature. Okay. So that is the things. So now we shall go to the state legislature question answers. Okay. So look at the first questions. The Jammu and Kashmir Reorganization Act was issued President's assent on 2019, 9 August. Yes, it reconstituted Jammu and Kashmir into two union territories. Yes, and it came into effect on 31st October 2019. So all of them are right. All of them are correct. So answer will be all 1, 2, 3. D. Okay, answer will be D. Next, the Chief Minister and other ministers of the Union Territories, where such setup exists, are appointed by the President. Union Territories, not by the Lieutenant Governors. Which of the following statement is are not correct? The Governor can refuse to give his assent to a bill. Yes. The Governor can reserve certain bills. Yes, under Article 200. The Governor may refuse to invite a leader of the party in Vidhan Sabha who does not command the majority of the House. Yes. The Governor may dismiss the Speaker and Vidhan Sabha Speaker and Chairman. No, he cannot. That will be the answer. D. The Speaker of Vidhan Sabha and Chairman of Vidhan Parishad are removed by the House itself, by the respective House. So, number 4, the Legislative Council of a state Legislative Council of a state is not subject to dissolution. ठीक है? Is not subject to dissolution. Can be abolished by Union Parliament on the recommendation of the Assembly. Yes. Can be abolished by President of India on the Governor's recommendation. No. So 1 and 2 only. A. We among the following legislature decide disqualification of member of the Legislative Assembly. That is the Speaker of the Assembly. Under anti-defection ground. The governor of a state is appointed by the president on the advice of the prime minister. Although he consults the chief minister, but it is the advice of the prime minister is essential. Consider the following statement regarding composition. 5/6 of total members of the Legislative Council are indirectly elected, right? 1/6 of the members are nominated by the president. Yes. From the field of arts, you remember, science, literature, social service, and cooperative movement. That is correct. Which of the following is among discretionary power of the governor? Selecting a CM if no single party has clear majority in the state assembly. That is a discretion. Dismissing a ministry at any time is not a discretion. Until the ministry enjoys majority in the Vidhan Sabha, governor cannot do any harm to the ministry. So that is wrong. Reserving a bill for the constitution, yes. So 1 and 3 are answered. See. What is the maximum time gap between the two sessions of state legislature? 6 months. And what is the article I told you? Yes, 173. Article 173 of the Constitution. If I am correct. Okay. Then what can the president do if a state fails to comply with the directives of the central government? He can dissolve the state legislature and order fresh elections. He can send primary functions to the state legislature to secure compliance. Paramilitary forces. He can declare breakdown of constitutional machinery in the state and assume responsibility for the governance. Yes. I will. President's rule. So C. Advocate General has the right to speak and to take part in the proceedings, but no right to vote in the House of the Legislature of the state. Yes. Advocate General is appointed by the Chief Minister. No. So only one is correct. He is appointed by the Governor. What is the minimum age qualification for members of Legislative Assembly Council respectively? 25 and 30. Okay. Which of the following is not correct with regards to passage of money bill in the state legislature? A money bill can only originate in the assembly but cannot originate in the legislature councils. Yes. The upper house has no power. It is all power. Actually, no power. Let's see, no power. No power to amend or reject a money bill. There is no provision for joint sitting in case of a conflict on money bill. The chairman of the council certifies a bill as money bill. No. That is the wrong answer. It's a wrong option. The Council of Ministers of a state where bicameral legislature exists is responsible to, see assembly, they are always responsible to the assembly under Article 164. The Council of Ministers shall be collectively responsible to the Vidhan Sabha. And we have already explained the concept of collective responsibility in a broader term. I hope you understand the concept of collective responsibility. It ensures that the Council of Ministers will hold office until they have majority in the Vidhan Sabha, and also the minister has to abide by the decision of the Council of Ministers or Cabinet, even if he personally disagrees with it. Next 15. A bill originating in and being duly passed by Council moves to the Assembly, and if it is Assembly rejects or makes recommendations not agreed by the Council, then the bill will come to an end. There is an immediate end to the bill. What fraction of total membership in the council are elected by persons engaged for at least 3 years in teaching 1/12. The number of members of state legislative council shall not exceed 1/3. It was 1/4 before 7th Amendment 1956. It has been increased to 1/3 by that amendment. So it is 1/3 of the total strength of the assembly or not less than 40. C. Quorum in the state legislature we have already discussed 1/10 or 10, whichever is C. The Legislative Council has similar power of Rajya Sabha in case of ordinance. Let it conclude that Legislative Council can return an ordinary bill for a maximum period of 6 months without taking no active action on it. Not 6 months, that is 4 months. Neither of them is correct. Only one is correct. Let us go to the next para. Next question, match the following. Governor, Council of Ministers. Okay, any article deals with governors? It deals with, but direct deals with 155. Council of Ministers 163. Duties of the Chief Minister 167. And the Legislative Council 169. So 3, 4, 3, 4, 1, 2. D. The governor is de jure head, the chief minister is de facto head of the state. But A and R is correct, I is the correct response. Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4. In which every minister and advocate general have the right to speak and take part in the proceedings of the either house of a state legislature. 177. B. Okay. So that is 195. Article 195 of the Constitution. That will be the salaries and allowances 195 to 197 restrictions 210 language and 212 courts not inquired. 2143 C. Then Chief Minister is the channel of communication between the Government and Council of Ministers under Article 167. Chief Minister is the head of the State Council of Ministers. Select the correct ones. Yes. A. Who among the following has not been the Speaker of Odisha Vidhan Sabha? There is Somnath Nath was there. Maheshwar Mohanty was there. Vinayak Acharya. He was the Chief Minister. Who was the first leader of opposition? Sadagar Sabka. In which assembly strength Odisha Vidhan Sabha was increased to 147, 6th, 1974. From 146, 42, 147. So in case of Gujarat, Legislative Council of Gujarat, that is 182 seats. And when you have Karnataka, this 217, 224, Haryana, 90, Kerala 140. A. No, no. Agree with 2. W1, W4, W3. Yes. Consider the following statements. Bhubaneswar became the capital of Odisha. Yes. In 1949, Otto Königsberger was the architect who designed the city. But which of the following is that will be 1948, not 49, in April, 13 April. At present, how many union territories? Three. Mean Jammu Kashmir, Delhi, and Puducherry. These three union territories have their own legislative assemblies after 2019. Present six states have legislative council in India. Legislative council of Jammu Kashmir was abolished 29 by an act of parliament. Yes, both of them are correct. Which state was established first among them? First among them is Bihar 1956, one 1987, 1966, 1960. Maharashtra was renamed. It is Bombay State. Which of the following state is the largest in area among them? Largest in area. You have idea? Largest in area? Largest of area है कर्नाटक, तमिलनाडु, आंध्र प्रदेश. कर्नाटक असी कर्नाटक. Karnataka is the sixth in rank in area wise. Tamil Nadu is 10th. Karnataka is sixth in rank. Tamil Nadu is 10th. Kerala is 23rd state area wise. And Andhra Pradesh. Andhra Pradesh is the 7th. So that will be A. The maximum strength of Vidhan Parishad is 1/3 of Vidhan Sabha. So we have already completed the session and also come to the end of the chapter, that is state legislature. In the next class, we shall be starting with the local self government in India. We have already discussed these provisions, and we shall start. We have already completed the state part, governor, executive, and others. Now we shall go to the local self government in India, and we shall deal with rural local self government and urban local self government in that respect. Okay, so keep on watching our sessions. We are initiating this process to all for benefits of you all. Those you can watch, those you can be guided by us online. Okay, so hands up to Banik for its endeavor, and thank you very much for watching us.